All right, Dr. Vera, thanks again for being on the show. I did just do a quick intro to everybody, but I think it's worth highlighting the fact that today you work as the CEO of Vibra Healthcare, which has over 1,000 employees in was it 9 states, 10 states, and you're in Massachusetts. So, I mean, you just got this beast of a healthcare business that you're working with, but that's not the amazing part of your journey. The amazing part of your journey is that you were an MD, you're a doctor, and you started in medicine. So I want to talk a little bit about that journey. What was it about? What were the experiences in your life that led you to want to be a doctor, especially in the medical field?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Travis. I really appreciate it. So I've always wanted to be a physician growing up. And then when I got older, I went to high school, then I went to college, and after college, I went to medical school. When I started my clinicals, I was really interested in surgery, general surgery.
Hmm.
So when I was doing, my internships in the hospital, the schedule was really hectic, but I really, really love surgery. That was maybe I would say the only specialty that I wanted to go into, because it is so just new. Things are different every day, um, and that's really what I wanted to do. But then um, the work-life balance, as I was, experiencing it firsthand, going to the hospital at 6 in the morning, I would
Hmm.
do my rounds, be in the OR by 8 a.m. Be in the OR scrubbing. Depending on the surgery, it takes from 5 hours to whatever, depending on how the case is.
Wow.
And yeah, and then I will get home by 6 p.m. And I remember one time I did that. I got home at 6 p.m. I was taking a shower, trying to get dinner ready, and then I get a call on my pager saying there's an emergency, so I have to go back. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so this is going to be my life. And I'm like, I can't do it, knowing that, I have to kind of do the same routine every day.
Hmm.
And that's kind of not really where I see myself. And I've always just had that uh, leader thing in me. Maybe because I'm the oldest in my family. So I've always just been.
You're a naturally born leader then, or I should say naturally born forced leader, or parents are like, hey, watch the little ones.
Yes, yes, I think that's where that comes from as well.
Oh, that,
Um, so I just decided to get my master's in healthcare administration while I was, in my medical school training. So I did that
you were
program.
doing your residencies and you're like, this isn't enough. I also want to go back to school.
I know, right? Only me, only me. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, that program was 2 years. I was able to complete that the same year that I actually got my degree in medicine. Um,
Wow.
so I did
That's
that
intense.
with the goal of eventually being in leadership positions because, like I said, I've always seen myself as a leader more than just being, a floor doctor, which, no knock to the
We love floor doctors. We need them.
Exactly, we do
Yeah.
need them. Absolutely,
Not for
absolutely.
everyone.
No, but I wanted to kind of have more of a say so in, the decision making instead of just being kind of told what to do and operating like that. So I wanted to kind of be in that position as a CEO. I mean, it came sooner than I expected, but I went with that. I didn't start there. I started, with Perfect Care, and I gradually, I was the healthcare administrator, and then I moved on to, chief operating officer.
So this is one of the interesting things I want to bring up to the audience here is that you were in medical school doing your residencies to finish your degree and realized you didn't want to do it. And then
Mhm.
so you're going to go to masters so you can get better prepared for management. But you were also doing work at this time and you ended up becoming the CEO of a healthcare company. So
Yeah,
I just want people, I don't, you probably, to you, because you lived through it, you're like, it's not a big deal. But I was like, CEO while doing a master's degree while finishing residencies. Like, when did you sleep?
yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't really think about it because, like you said, I'm living it. Like I lived it, so it's kind of like not a big deal. But when you actually put it this way, it's like, yeah, how was I able to do that? That's kind
You
of crazy.
need to take a minute and just like pat yourself on the back if your family and friends haven't, because that, like, I'm exhausted just listening to that. I don't understand how that works, but man, it's
Yes,
remarkable. I mean, it's remarkable.
yeah. Sometimes we forget to celebrate ourselves. We just always on to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. So, yeah, you're right. Definitely, definitely.
So you started as an administrator and that went into COO. And so now you've got your boots on the ground and you're in theory of management while you're actually living the realities of management. So what were some of the core lessons that you learned once you became a COO, especially about how different business school mentality is versus sort of real world, like how to deal with stuff?
Oh yeah, I mean, book work, school work is definitely different than reality and life hands-on experience. It's completely different because whatever you encounter day to day, you can't read that in a book. You can read as many books as you can, but it's not the same as living it in real time.
Yeah.
So definitely challenging. I had to learn a lot of patience. I'm somewhat a person that kind of likes everything done within a certain timeline. Somewhat of a perfectionist, so I had to learn to
You like organization and structure.
yeah. So I had to learn to just let people do their thing, trust but verify. So that's something that I'm still learning to kind of give my let people do their thing, because when it's not done how I want it to be done, I kind of take it back and try to do it myself, which can be overwhelming because
Yeah,
I can't do anybody's job. So I have to trust that they will do it, still verifying, but it's challenging day to day.
sure.
Yeah.
So how did when you became the CEO, how did the job sort of differ from what you were expecting it to be?
Oh, it was different. It was completely different. I mean, as administrator, you're not really in the operations as when
Sure.
you're officer. As the COO, you're the second hand. You're the second one in line after the CEO. So all the operations, all the financials, everything, all the staffing and that's on you. So that's really something that is demanding, and that's something that you have to be prepared for. I'm lucky that I'm very quick on my feet, and I learn very quickly as I go. So I was able to adapt rather quickly to the new position, but it wasn't easy. A lot of sleepless nights, a lot of just learning on my own and figuring things out. But I mean, it worked out.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So from a management perspective, then what has been your approach to working with people that are under you?
My approach has been to have a team mentality. Um, I always say, my staff success is my success, their failures is my failure.
Mm,
I make sure that they have all the tools that are necessary to succeed because I'm not one to go for failure, number one. So I want to make sure that you have all the tools that you need to succeed. You know, additional training or whatever the case may be, I set you up for success to make sure that we're all succeeding. So again, it's a teamwork. I try not to single-handedly blame one person. You didn't do it's a group kind of mindset, and I've found that it's beneficial for the team, and it's also speaks to the culture of the organization, and just it makes people feel good, that they're
mm.
not that their leader kind of appreciates them and wants to see them succeed as well.
Boy, it's just as a civilian, like I listened to what you're saying, and like that's so amazing because obviously it's very timely with everything that's going on right in the beginning of 2025, and the disaster we're seeing in Los Angeles with those fires. And it's
Yes.
like the exact opposite. You have leaders that didn't give their employees any of the tools they needed to succeed, and then they immediately started trying to blame everybody but themselves, when the reality was they didn't give them the tools they need to do the job. Right. And it's interesting to me in the business world, you look at these things and going, it's so structured and it makes the logical sense, and you can actually create a good culture and be effective and productive. And then, well, like, why is that never translated into public service? I don't understand, but it sure is frustrating to hear someone at your level going like, hey, this is how it works. This is great. And you're like, that makes so much sense. Why, like, who do we have to smack in the face to get them to apply that to other stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the key is really communication. It sounds, so generic, but even, now my one policy is I have an open door policy. So even as the CEO or whatever title that I may have, I'm accessible to person A all the way down to person Z. So I don't discriminate that, you're the janitor or you're the nurse or you're the, COO. Everybody gets the same treatment, and that just shows the humanity, and that makes people want to work with you and want to work for you, because they see that, oh, she's the CEO. She's treating, the janitor the same as she's treating the her next CEO or whatever the case may be. So just I think that having that empathy side, that human side that we're sometimes losing with these titles, that I think is just titles, but we also have to keep the human side of the title.
So how do you deal with the communication challenges, and like how do you work with your employees to help them have better communication?
hmm It's by leading by example. Leading by example. I remember when I first joined Vibra, we were having a lot of turnover, um, and with the staffing challenges during that time when I joined, coming out of COVID, and people really not wanting to be working in the healthcare field. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so
How much of an impact did you see in the business because of that?
oh, a huge, huge impact, a huge impact. The moral of everybody, all the staff, they were just all demoralized. They did not want to work because number one, they were all exhausted from, the COVID stuff, and then also they were just feeling that the leadership team wasn't on their side, wasn't really, responsive to them or caring about their needs. So when I joined, I kind of changed that. That's what I'm saying, leading by example, not just saying, but when you're doing it yourself, you're embodying what you're talking about. It just things just come to you, gravitates towards you. So me, as the CEO, I was doing rounds throughout the hospital. I will go, do the rounds in the hospital. If a CNA
Were the people shocked to see you on the floor?
but very shocked. That was, my secret weapon again, because having that relationship with my staff, that's kind of what made them stay and made other people want to join us, because like I said, I will go on the floor, help my CNAs change patients, which they were like, whoa, what is happening, like, why are you doing that? I implemented something that we call all hands on deck, especially when we're short during lunchtime. The receptionist will call all hands on deck, and then I made all the leaders in the different departments, including myself, go out on the floor and help the CNAs pass trays to the patients.
Wow.
Yes, so that not only created this culture of we're working together, but they're saying that, everything that I'm saying to them in our meetings, that, let's work, I understand what you guys are going through. We're all a team, blah, blah, blah. They are seeing me doing it. And I'm not just doing it, one day. This is like a continuous, everyday thing. So that just speaks volume by itself. So,
That reminds me of an article I saw on DoorDash, where the owner of the founder CEO of DoorDash it was a requirement where he made all of the programmers, they had to work an 8-hour customer service shift answering support tickets. And when he first did it, there was a big revolt, right? The engineer, the programmer's like, this isn't my job. I'm not a customer service person. This is beneath me. And he basically was like, you guys need to get in there and see the problems that your programming is creating. And then they were saying that like that one thing when the programmers had to start seeing what people were complaining about, as programmers, their brains didn't understand. And then they hear in the user, and then they would go, oh, I didn't think that we could that would be a thing with the software, right? And so, as from what I understand, it was one of the apps that people enjoy using the most because of that. But did you get any pushback from the other leaders when you went?
Absolutely. You always have that is a no-brainer, but you, as the leader,
Does
again,
he pushback or looks of terror?
both.
I gotta be on the floor. Oh,
Both, because they've never done it. They've never had a CEO that kind of implement this, and it's like, whoa, why do I have to go help a CNA pass trades? That's her job. That's not my job. My job is to sit here in front of my laptop and answer this email, whatever the case may be. Like, no, that's not your job. We're all doing everybody's job, so we're all in this together. So yes, of course, there's always pushback, but as a CEO, you have to be firm when it comes to certain things.
all right. So you took over. You had challenging. So the first thing you did was work on the culture to make the employees first and foremost feel appreciated. What were the things you were able to do to help them feel less exhausted? I mean, obviously, coming out on hands all deck happened, but was there anything else you implemented to help kind of alleviate that feeling of like I'm on my own and I'm burnt out?
Mhm. One thing that I did, I mean, almost every weekend, I will go in myself and work with them. I didn't have to. The Saturdays are
Would
usually
you do like a
just,
full shift when you would go in?
yes. So the shift is usually 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So I will go in at 7 in the morning and leave at 7 p.m. And mind you, I live in Connecticut, so I'm like commuting almost an hour
Wow.
from, yeah, to the job. Um, Also, just having a weekly, um I call them powwows, where I will have the whole team together and just talk and kind of hear them as well. Having pizza, uh, uh, giving them pizza here and there, but by them seeing me, putting that effort, it just changes everything, because they feel that they're being heard. They feel that I'm not just the CEO sitting in the office all day and saying, you do this, you do that, you go here, you go there. But I'm actually there with them, knowing what they're doing, helping them with what they're doing whenever I can, and just improving the culture and overall alleviating some of the burden as much as I can.
Wow. So, all right. So once you addressed the culture and started working on helping them, you obviously were still facing the challenges of like huge turnover, people leaving, people not wanting to be there. So, how did you go about recruiting and getting people to come in I'm assuming, and to a high degree, getting people to want to come back to work in the medical field? Did you have any specific sort of strategies that you deployed to make that appealing?
Yes, so we had a lot of agencies that were working with us, from COVID and on. And I'm not sure if you know, but agencies, we pay them almost double what we pay our regular staff.
Wow.
So, yes, so a regular CNA, let's say we pay them, depending on their years of experience, let's say $20 an hour. An agency CNA is paid about 35, 40 an hour. So
Is
the
part of that go because it's going to the agency, they're taking a big cut, or just because?
Just because, well, we're not paying for the insurance and things like that. While
Oh, that, yeah, yeah.
so by me, doing all of these things that I mentioned before, working on the floors and having these different uh, meetings with my staff one on one, and kind of hearing their concerns, what they would like to see change, what's working, what's not working, hearing from them firsthand. So I had a group meeting, and then I started having individual meetings with each staff member. so they can tell me, if they don't want to speak in a group setting, they can tell me personally one on one what, what's working, what's not working, what they would like to see, what they, things like that. Um, and slowly, you know, by me just doing these things, people just started appreciating it because again, they've never seen that done before.
Mm.
Um, so the word of mouth just started, going, and it's just spreading like wildfire. No pun intended there, but uh, just started spreading, and before I knew it, I had the agency staff uh, wanting to come join full time.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so when I was signing up the with the agencies, I put something in the contract where I would say, if I was to hire your staff, I wouldn't pay any finder's fee because with the agency, usually when you hire their staff, you have to pay, some kind of finder's
Sure.
fee. So I worked that in the contract that I wouldn't pay. So that's kind of how I was able to recruit those people from the agency because they wanted to work with me because they're seeing all the wonderful things that we're doing in the facility, how we're changing things and just improving the morale of the staff. So that's kind of how, and they will bring their friends and tell their friends and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what an interesting concept too, right? Because I'm assuming most agencies, like, they put place people and then the company aggressively pursues them to try to get them there. And that's why they ask for the finder's fee. But you reversed the scenario where it's like you weren't approaching them. They were coming to you going like, hey, how do I get out of my agency contract to come to work because I like what you're doing? Um,
Absolutely.
how did you find that the employees were, even the lower level employees were pretty truthful and honest about what worked and didn't work? Or were they a little kind of reluctant at first of like, is this some sort of?
Yeah, they were definitely reluctant at first. Again, things don't just change,
Of
the
course.
first month. So this was a work in progress. So they want to see, I mean, it's just like anybody, you want to see that, this person is genuine. Whatever that they're doing is they're really doing it because they care and because they want to do it, not just because it's something that they're doing for today. So, and that's not something that I was doing for just today or for just the week, but that's something that naturally, I'm just somebody that's very empathetic and I see, from other people's point of view, so I understand what they're going through. So at first, yes, they were reluctant. Some of them were reluctant, but as we go on and they see as I'm doing more and more and more, they started coming to me because I will only set one meeting, one individual meeting with each person. So once your time goes, and then you speak to the other person, they're like, "Oh no, she's cool, she's this, she's that." Then they will come to my assistant and say, "Hey, can I have a meeting with her?" I'll say sure. Then they'll set up the meeting, and then they'll come back and say, I didn't tell you this, but this is what's going on, and blah blah blah. And that's kind of how that worked out.
So what's your, as a CEO of a company that big, what's sort of your day-to-day schedule like?
Whew. I mean, it varies. A lot of meetings, a lot of phone calls with the corporate team, discussing financials, discussing different things, um, meetings with vendors. So my schedule is always full. My assistant tries to give me a break here and there. But I'm just somebody that I love meeting people. So if somebody requests a meeting, I try my best to accommodate as much as I can. I mean, it came to a point where I wasn't even having a lunch anymore. I would just have lunch maybe for a quick 10
Wow.
minutes. Never throughout my time, I've never taken, my full hour lunch. It will always be a working lunch, whether, I'm taking a staff out to eat so we can discuss, what um, their feedback is or whatever, or I will take a phone call, I will be, in emails and whatnot. So it will always be like a working lunch. So, yeah.
So how do you ground yourself and have your own self-care outside of work? Because it sounds like it's pretty intense. You're working a lot. So how do you take care of you so that you still have all this energy to give back to your employees and your staff?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm a workaholic. That's something that I don't like to admit, but it is true. I don't think that it's a good
Wait, the
thing.
person that was a CEO doing a master's in medical school too is
But I would say my family is really what's grounding me. I am somewhat of a homebody. I'm not somebody that, like to go out all the time. I like to stay home with family, just, enjoying family time and maybe watching a movie or whatever the case may be, cooking dinner, um, exercising. That's one thing that I found, kind of helps me with stress relief. But family will be my biggest thing.
what's your go-to cheat food? Or I should say your comfort food when you're like, I've had the worst week, I need my food.
Oh my gosh, everything and anything. I mean, I'm a big sweets person,
Yeah.
so bad. Cookies, candies, it's like I'm trying to reduce that because it's not good for you, but it's a work in progress.
Yeah, I got it. All right, so we're coming up now on almost a decade of you being in a C-suite executive position. When did the tickling in the back of your brain of like it's time for you to start your own business? When did that start to just show up?
Yeah, I mean, it started, I would say, a couple years ago. Like I said, I'm always big on independence and just, wealth building. Like I said, my family is what grounds me. So when I'm thinking long term, I'm thinking of, building wealth, generational wealth for my family. So I said, why not start, a home care company? And that's what I did. Started a Care Haven, which is a home care company. We're located in Connecticut, West Hartford, Connecticut, but we do service the entire state. Um, yeah, I mean, I it's just about, again, the continuum of care, providing care to patients now in their homes instead of being, in the hospital, because depending on what their diagnosis is or whatever they're facing, some patients do better at home if they
Hmm.
can stay at home, especially if you have a elderly mom and she's been in her home for over 50 years. She doesn't want to go into a facility, an assisted living or a nursing home. She wants to stay in her home. So that's where we come in. We bring a staff in that matches her personality. We do an assessment first, so when a client contacts us, I go out to the client's home, I do an assessment, kind of determine what their needs are, whether they have dementia or they need help with bathing, cooking, taking them to the doctor's appointment, whatever it is that they need. We get a care plan together, set um, the times that they want services to be provided, kind of get their preferences, their likes and their dislike, because we want to match the client with the caregiver. We don't
Hmm.
just want to send any caregiver to the
Wow.
home. We want to make sure that they get somebody that will be a good fit for them.
That's that seems very forward thinking for the medical industry. Seems normally they're like, this is who's available. That's what you get.
No, no, we try our best to match, people that are a good fit, because, we want you to feel comfortable in your home
Sure.
with whoever it is that is providing that service to you.
So was there anything in specifically about the home health care that made you choose to start that particular business? Because it sounds like you've got such a broad array, you really could have kind of created everything. So what was it about that particular segment that sparked your interest of wanting to devote, long term?
Yeah, I kind of had a taste of that with Perfect Care.
Hmm.
Um, but also, taking care of my grandmother who is, 94 years old and still living at home, and us kind of having to take care of her and address her needs. Every service that we're providing, she benefits from that. So and then I thought, why not, just do it in a bigger sense. So she was kind of the inspiration there, just caring for her and all of that, seeing kind of the things that she's going through, and her not wanting to be in the facility and wanting to stay at home.
You know,
So you know the main thing, and we believe that home is where the heart is and also where healing happens best. So at Care Haven, we really care for you like family. We make sure that you have everything that you need to succeed at home. It's not for everybody, of course. Some people do need to be in facilities, but for those that stay home, we are there to support them in any um, capacity that they may need.
so do you have any big goals with your company? Do you want to just stay in Connecticut, or do you want to eventually expand nationwide?
Yes, the long-term goal is to expand nationwide. So we want to be, that's our vision to be, a household name in home care. So when you think of home care, you think of Care Haven. So eventually we're going to expand, out of Connecticut into Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and eventually, the Midwest, the South, the all of that, the West Coast. So that's our vision, our long-term goal.
Yeah. I've done marketing in the past, and one of the things that shocked me about the baby boomer generation was when they started turning 65, just how many of them there are. And so, obviously we're in 2025 now, but the stats are so right now there's 10,000 people per day turning 65 in the United States, and that's going to continue until 2035.
Absolutely. Yes. I
So
mean,
for the next 30
some-
years, we have this huge wave of aging parents coming
yeah,
on that this is going to meet it. So, well, this is fascinating. The idea is good. And like, it looks like you are, because of you're working so much directly with people by having boots on the floor, and you're doing shifts with your employees. Like, I really feel like you're bringing something to the table that most CEOs aren't, which is because you're in the thick of it, you're seeing what the trends are heading towards, and you're creating something to move in that direction. And so, yeah, it's going to be exciting to see where your company goes this next little while. If
yeah.
people want to support you or anything you got going on, where can they go to find more information about your company and what it's doing?
Yes, so they can go on our website, which is www.carehavenvhs.com. Again, that's carehavenvhs.com. VHS it stands for V Healthcare Solutions. So that's the big name of the company, but then
Hmm.
on have Care Haven. So that's kind of
It's a great name. So,
yeah.
well, Dr. Vera Yigle, thank you so much for your time. It's been fascinating, and I look forward to watching your growth.
Likewise, thank you so much, Travis, for
Thanks.
having me. Appreciate it.